Welcome everyone to Forza Horizon 2, and today we're dealing with the newly released G-Shock car pack. It has 6 brand new cars, one of them which is free, and I'm gonna go through them all, drive them a little bit, and just talk about them. Firstly, we're dealing with the 1953 Ferrari 500 Mondial, 168 horsepower, 135 foot-pounds of torque. Weighs under 1900 pounds, so very light, and it has a 2-litre 4-cylinder, which is unusual for a Ferrari in the 50s because they were more known for their potent V12s. So let's see what this one can do. Now, naturally, having hardly any weight, even though it doesn't have all that much power, it's going to be a pretty quick car. Obviously, being on Storm Island, there's not many physical roads, it's more dirt, but I'm sure it'll be able to handle them fine. Also looks very pretty as well, like a lot of Ferraris. Though not like a lot of Ferraris at the moment, a lot of them just look the same.
One of Horizon's top drivers is in the area. I've marked their position on your GPS, if you'd like to challenge them to a head-to-head.
No, I'm fine. So yeah. Sounds pretty good for a 4-cylinder from the 50s. Obviously the brakes and handling need to be upgraded because it doesn't stack up to modern standards, obviously. Typical Italian dials, no speedometer for one because this is a racing car, you don't need to know how fast you're going. Plenty of oil dials for all Italian cars. Also rests quite highly for a 4-cylinder from them days. I know the V12s are quite high revving, but I didn't expect 4-cylinder to be. Yeah, it's a real surprise. I've never heard of the 500 Mondial before. Probably because I'm used to more of the V12 cars from that era. Yeah, let's see what the next car is.
Dude, how's things?
It's a Ford, I know that. And here we are, the Bronco. 1975 Ford Bronco. Big American all-wheel drive truck, effectively. 205 horsepower, 300 foot-pound of torque, which is pretty healthy considering the time it's from, 1975, with all the emission restrictions that were coming in at that time. Not even the Pontiac Trans Am in 77 had 205 horsepower, so yeah, it's pretty decent. And from its 5-litre V8, weighs a fair bit though, but not as much as. Only about as much as some muscle cars from that time, so let's see what it can do. Should be decent on Storm Island, that's for sure, being the kind of car that it is. Variety of colours, naturally. We'll keep it in black. What I have to say about this car pack is it is very interesting. Most of these cars I've never heard of, so. Yeah, it's a big surprise in terms of what they've chosen. They could have just gone for some normal stuff or some most stuff that we've had on before, but there's only one car that we've had on here before, and that's the free one, which is we'll get to eventually. I thought those latches on the side were a bit dangerous. This must be the squarest car ever. Well, outside of the Nissan Cube. Yeah, it's fairly decent. It's not slow, that's for sure. Deals with the off-road stuff alright. This will make a great extreme off-road silly build, that's for sure.
You have arrived at your destination.
Be nice to see some of these make a appearance on the likes of Forza Horizon, Forza 6 come this November or whenever it's out, because these would make for interesting race cars, that's for sure. Now we've got another Ford now after that rather unusual choice from turn 10, and it's, where is it? Where are you? Oh, it might be under Shelby actually. So yeah, let's move on to the next one. Which is a Mazda. This is a free car in the pack. And 263 horsepower. A hell of a lot of foot-pounds of torque as well, 280. Well, it's 2.3 litre inline 4. I expect that amount of foot-pound of torque is down to its turbo, which is probably sizable. Yeah, I've always liked this car. I liked it on Forza 5 or 4, whichever one that it was on. I have to say I preferred the old version to this, which had a little bit less horsepower, but it was also weighed a little bit less and looked better, personally. I'm sure this is just as competent on here. Naturally front wheel drive for a hot hatch, even though this is quite big for a hot hatch. But more makes up for its size with its speed and its really good handling. Personally, I would say it would make more sense for it to be all-wheel drive than having all that horsepower going through the front wheels solely. Considering the front wheels also have to do the steering and most of the braking. Whoops. Damn Supra getting in the way. Sorry for the broken window.
At your destination.
Yeah, I'm sure this will make a good for a good extreme off-road silly build as well. Certainly already got the handling for it. Now this is a really unusual car. I've never even heard of the concept of it. And it's this, the Nissan IDx NISMO. Concept car apparently. 215 horsepower for its 1.6 litre inline 4. Doesn't even weigh all that much either, to be honest. So all that power won't be put to waste. It also looks really, really unusual. This is the kind of direction that Nissan are going to be going over the next few years, and I kind of back it. I mean, it's not perfect, but considering the kind of stuff Nissan's been putting out of late, which is completely boring, apart from a couple of cars. If they're not boring, they're ugly. So hopefully this will be a good change in direction, especially if they are a good handling car and fun to drive. Certainly got plenty of glass, that's for sure. Wow, that's a weird steering wheel. And dials as well. It's a thick dial that. Exhaust from the side. It's a typically crazy Japanese invention. For sure.
Destination.
It's fairly fast though, even though I'm only dealing with the off-road bits and not having all that much straight lines to go on, straights to go on. Again, bit of a surprise. This pack's turning into an interesting one, that's for sure. Right, we're on to the final two. We've had the Ferrari, we've had the Ford Bronco, we've had the Mazda Mazdaspeed 3, and now we're going for, wait for it, all the way down to S. The Shelby Ford F-150 SVT Raptor. It's basically just a souped up version of the F-150 SVT Raptor that's already on here. 575 horsepower, 592 foot-pounds of torque from its 6.2 litre V8, and it weighs 6,200 pounds. I've been told that it has a 2.9 litre Whipple supercharger, and it comes with a Whipple intercooler as well. So a hell of a lot of upgrades and a hell of a lot of horsepower. So let's see what this can do. It's also got all the decals on it and other assortments. Call that roof rack arrangement. I'm sure this is built for more like off-road racing than these typical normal driving on the road. I'm expecting this supercharger to be loud, considering it's an upgraded one. Well, unfortunately it's got a bit windy and rainy, so I probably can't hear it. Yeah, it's certainly faster than the standard Raptor that we've had on this game. Say all this roof rack arrangement, which I don't know what it's for really. It's helping in terms of aerodynamics, that's for sure.
You have arrived at
Never
your
mind that front bumper, which is protruding out a fair bit. Yeah, this will also make a good extreme off-road silly build car, considering how good the Raptor was originally. And finally, we're going to be dealing with the weirdest one of this lot, because not only have I never heard of it, but I never even knew the typical the car manufacturer actually did one. And it is the Subaru BRAT DL. It's basically a all-wheel drive car to compete with the kind of El Caminos that were around in the 70s and 80s. Basically a car that's an ordinary car but is able to take a lot in the back via its pickup. This has a 69 horsepower, 84 foot-pound of torque, 1.6 flat 4, weighs barely anything, so lack of power shouldn't matter with all that, with the little amount of weight that it has, and with it being all-wheel drive and having a high ride height, it should be decent off-road as well. This again would be a good contender for an extreme off-road silly build. Seems that this whole car pack's been made for my kind of series. expect to see all these cars in that series, by the way, because they seem to be all interesting and completely different to anything we've used before. Also has seats in the back of this. Personally, I wouldn't want to be in the back of this weather though. Sounds weird. As I predicted though, it's fairly decent off-road. Oh, it does struggle with the hill. And again, that's what lack of power gets you. Barely any uphill momentum.
Arrived at your destination.
To be honest though, this is charming in a weird kind of way. I certainly wouldn't have expected to turn 1020 from that this on. So yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.